The Financial Survival Network, helping you survive and thrive in the new economy. Go to carrylutz.com and sign up for 30 free micro trainings on financial survival.
This show is brought to you by Miles Franklin. They've been selling gold and silver for 22 years, and I'm a customer because when you buy, they ship. For more information, go to milesfranklin.com or call them at 800-822-8080.
1490 WGCH. This is Kerry Lutz. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network, and it's time for another Triple Lutz report. So I'm down in Florida. I'm visiting relatives. A very interesting thing happened on the way down here. I fly out of New York, and I always like to sit by the window. And the reason I do, I just enjoy looking at the scenery. I like getting the different perspective. When you're 35,000 feet in the air, everything looks orderly and clean and friendly. And there's a certain peace when you fly that it's hard to encounter elsewhere, especially when there's no Wi-Fi on the plane and no cell phone and no means of being contacted or harassed by relatives and friends that you just don't want to deal with at a particular time. One of the problems of our modern era of communications is that you have 24/7 accessibility. People can always reach you, whether it's through cell phones or email or texting. Forget it. You're always out there and you're always able to be gotten to. And that's the problem here. We're in the surveillance state and we're flying on the plane, and I'm looking out the window, and it was a little cloudy starting, but then the further south we got, the clearer the air was. And finally, we're down around the South Carolina-Georgia border. And planes had been passing us. We'd been passing planes all the way down. And I look out the window, and you can see the beach. You can see the water because we're flying over the Atlantic Ocean. I'm looking west. And below us, probably about 8,000 feet below us, a couple of miles to the west of us, I see a Predator drone. And we all have heard the stories about how Predators are going to be used for domestic surveillance, but until you actually see one in the air, until you see it flying parallel to the coast, and mind you, these things can pick up enormous amounts of intelligence. They've got cameras, they've got sensors. It's absurd that the government needs this kind of horsepower to spy on its citizens. But what occurred to me is that we're now in the surveillance state. I don't think anybody can deny that the government is spying upon virtually all of us, whether it's reading our emails, listening to our phone calls, reading our texts, reading our faxes, spying on what we're actually looking at on the internet. We're in the surveillance state. And this is all over the world. China. I don't know about India, but certainly Russia does it. Every modern state is spying upon its citizens. And it's always conducting these activities because it's there to help us. Government's there to take care of us, to keep us safe, to make sure nothing bad happens in your life, to keep you and your family secure. And nothing could be further from the truth. Our founding fathers knew that government was and is the biggest threat to your safety and well-being. We can argue all day long about what functions of government are necessary, what the government should be doing. We can argue about that. But what you can't argue about is that the greatest harm to the greatest number of people throughout history has taken place at the hand of the government. I think it was Trace Mayer who said it, or one of my other guests, maybe Jeff Berwick, How many people get killed by criminals, by people they don't know who are engaging in criminal activity every year in the United States? Is it 10,000? Who knows? It's not that large. It's not that large a number when you think about it to justify the trillions of dollars that get spent every year on this stuff. Maybe hundreds of billions. I don't want to exaggerate. But look, it's become totally unbearable. You get to the airport, they want to see your license. Then some guy at TSA squints at you to determine whether you look like a terrorist, looks at you suspiciously. How dare he? I am paying his salary. He works for me, but our government doesn't work for us any longer. So I get to the hotel and I hand them my credit card. They want to see my driver's license, photo ID. Who the hell are they? Where do they get off wanting to see identification? As long as the goddamn credit card works when they put it through the slot, that should be enough. And yet, all these encroachments upon our liberties, they take place daily, and they're increasing in number, and there's really no end in sight. I mean, you go into buildings in Manhattan, 9/11 was 12 years ago, and I have never been able to understand why them looking at my identification, scanning it, is going to make us safer. It just becomes another database that the government can tap into to find out where you were, to try to figure out what you were doing, and whether or not they like the activity that you were engaged in. So the next time you're walking down the street and you hear some propeller sound, look up, because it very well might be a predator drone monitoring your activities and those of your neighbors and those of your community. And before I forget, make sure you go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. The site has been completely revamped. You can listen to every single one of my shows that I've done, although honestly, the earlier ones you probably don't want to listen to. We've got up-to-the-minute news on the economy, on the dollar, on the impending global economic collapse. We just aggregate it constantly. Stefan's my right-hand man. I could not do it without him. He's amazing. All the people that you want to be hearing from are there. Sign up for the Financial Survival Toolkit. It really could come in handy. The way things are going now, it looks to me like it's something you're going to need to consider. So thanks again. Kerry Lutz, been another Triple Lutz Report, signing off.